welcome to another edition of He Said, She Said, a relationship podcast. I'm Sara.
Hi, I'm Luke.
And we are married with kids and a really annoying cat who's making a ton of background noise right now. You want to come say hi, kitty? Coda. She's really annoying lately. She is deprived of love. Just kidding.
She's not. She's just a shit.
We still love her. She's just exhausting some days. Anyway, it's Thanksgiving weekend. Happy Thanksgiving.
On that note.
Right.
Things that you love but are exhausting.
Holidays.
Yeah.
Family.
We've talked about holidays before.
We have.
But we're going to reiterate some things, I guess. And
we're going to touch on just some... Let's think of it this way. We're going to talk about expectations versus reality for a lot of people at the holidays. What you feel like it should feel like, and then when it's actually happening, it's never how it feels.
And fair warning, and hopefully it's not famous last words, but we are trying to do this as sort of a mini episode.
Yeah.
Because we've been driving all over creation for
lots of family
the past
time.
couple of days, so we would kind of like to not be driving.
We're not driving.
We'd not like to be driving a podcast.
Oh, I see. Yes.
Yeah, I didn't think that
beyond
through. You know what I mean? We just want to go watch TV
and hang out. We want to. What did we say the other night? Sweatpants and Hulu.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Who was it said that?
Jen. It was Jen.
She said something like sweatpants and Hulu, and we're like, that's the adult version
of Netflix and chill.
Netflix and chill is like, we're gonna mess around, but sweatpants and Hulu is like, oh no, we're putting on sweatpants and watching
quality Hulu programs.
We're putting on sweatpants and catching up on Rick and Morty.
Right. So before we get to that, let's just talk briefly about our highlights of the holiday season. It has begun. Do you want me to go first so you can think of some highlights?
Yes.
Okay. I put the Christmas tree up a little bit early this year. Highlight, because it makes me happy, and I work from home by myself, and it's lonely. So
she put it up. She didn't even tell me she was doing it. I came home and it was decorated, and I was like, "What the hell? That's our family."
He does not give a shit.
And
people.
She was like,
"Don't let him lie to you."
And she was like, "I hate you." No, that didn't happen.
I asked. I
told her you can put up everything but the star.
Yeah, and I left some other. I left a handful.
May I chime in just a minute about the star?
Yes, of course.
So I created a tradition. I would say when Josie was probably what?
7? Yeah.
And because we made her, it's when we made her make a star. Mm-hmm. We made her make the Christmas star.
I think it was the first year after we got married.
It might be. And I give the child the star. I hoist them to the top of the tree. They place the star. We take a picture, and everybody has a Merry Christmas.
Right.
And it went on, and even up until Josie was like, and all of my children are tall for their age. And even to where you get to a point where it usually starts with Sara going, "Don't hurt your back." And so I go like, look at these children. They put the star on, and then like it became Nevi's turn, and now Nevi's huge. This is Nevi's last year.
I don't know, because Sydney won't be big enough next year. She won't really get it. I mean, she might. Yeah, You'll be able to like actually hold her up.
All she has to do is literally like hold it, and I will place it, like using her as like an extension of my hand. It'll be fine. She'll be 3. Now that's why I say I just tell her to wait for the star, because I have to lift a child to place it atop the tree.
I left off like some U ornaments and a couple funny ones for Nevi.
Like Darth Vader?
No, I like to strategically place bigger ornaments to dangle correctly, because when certain people put them on the tree, they just get shoved in there, and Sara can't handle that. So it's a very fine looking tree this year, if I may say so myself, as I turn around to look at it.
It's very good, Monica.
I'm proud of it. Leave me alone. So that was a highlight. Another highlight for me was I ran in my first bulldog jog here in good old Yellow Springs, Ohio. Strangely, all the years I've been running, I've ran a 10K, the Thanksgiving Day race in 2013 down in Cincinnati. I ran in the Air Force Half Marathon, 13.1 miles.
And I actually did like 6 miles that day.
On September 20th, 2014.
Because it was a 1.5 mile walk or something like that.
Right.
From the car to the stands. And then I forgot something and had to go back.
Well, and you went and looked around the museum and stuff, too.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I did the Air Force tourist walk.
The friends and family version. But I'd never done just a boring old 5K race. And this one's in town. It's the day after Thanksgiving. I was training for it for like 2 weeks. And then I freaking rolled my ankle like a dum-dum running on the bike path. Possibly, maybe also trying to text someone at the same time. And it was covered in leaves, too. It's kind of, when it's really covered in leaves, those big fat yellow leaves, you know, I think they're maples. You can't see where the path ends and the edge of the non-path starts. And I just slid right off. But anyway, I ran it in 42 minutes, which is super slow. But I never walked.
You ran it faster than all the people who didn't?
And there was a whole bunch of walkers behind me. I was probably the last runner to cross the finish line. But but it felt really good. And I think I'm going to start trying to do like a 5K every other month or something for the year. Cause,
I did not agree to this.
Well, I'm a strong, independent woman who don't need no husband.
I need to review
approval of 5Ks.
The T-shirts and swag that they provide.
There's that.
Because you showed me the T-shirt to this, and I was like, that's a fine T-shirt. Whereas if it was one that just said, like, 5K.
They're always
yay,
pretty well designed.
I know, but there's some of them that are cash grabs.
Yeah.
And this one goes to the Mills Lawn PTO.
It does. So
that's a good thing.
I'm helping my community.
But some of the other ones, if it goes to, like, some bullshit fund that gets, like, a nickel per every dollar.
You know what I want to do? I did it when I was pregnant, actually, is the Ladies Rock, the Dayton one. I got the pint glass you drink out of all the time.
Is that the thing that...
It says...
no, I know the pint glass.
Yeah. It was...
is that the one that has... it had something to do with drinking.
Yeah, at the end, Shelby. You got free beers. But we didn't get beers because we were both pregnant. No one knew Shelby was. A few people did, but anyway... I also got a free chair massage, and you got a whole swag bag. It was cool. It's a 4-miler. It's in Dayton. It's women only. It's a walk run, and it starts and ends at Carillon Park in Dayton. So it's in May, I think. I think I'm going to do that one this year. Anyway, it was a highlight. I'm glad to get back into running. Even as it gets colder out, I like to run when it's cold because I sweat like a motherfucker.
Watch your language. There's a kitty present.
Oh, she's so sad looking. So what about you, honey?
Some of the highlights of my week were having a short work week. That was good. I got a lot done. And when you get a lot done in 3 days, it makes the week just like whiz by.
True that.
Having 2 days off, like I got to say, this is the first extended weekend in a while where like it's felt long, which has been good. I have been recording Christmas songs. Humorous Christmas songs.
Sidebar.
I'll get there.
I may be involved.
On my I got hetero life mate Sean and I's other podcast. Two Dudes Drinking.
Other podcast with Sean. Your podcast with your other podcast.
My other podcast
with Sean.
With Sean. But we talked about doing funny Christmas songs because we do parodies and funny songs and stuff. But we're like, what if for Christmas we did blah? And so I got 2 down. I have to write and record one more before Saturday. So that'll be fun.
Do you have any ideas for the last one?
I have a couple. But we talked about doing parodies too, so I had a parody of Jingle Bells in mind that was extremely vulgar, yet funny.
Okay.
Not Jingle Balls.
That's too obvious.
Too obvious, exactly. Anyway, so that's been fun doing that, just kind of getting back into recording and stuff. So on one of the songs, there's like a little breakdown where I wanted it to sound like a children's choir was singing in the background. And I'll go ahead and tell you, the song is called Don't Be an Asshole on Christmas. Copyright Luke Holtzberry, 2017. And I wanted there to be this part at the end where it's like kind of like just the rhythm, and I want it to sound like a children's choir singing Don't Be an Asshole on Christmas. And Nevi, middle daughter, was going to do it, but she tried, but she just couldn't say the bad word.
She doesn't like to say bad words.
And I was just like, it's okay.
She's so good.
You do not have to do anything you don't want to. And I was like, you get a free pass. Like, no big deal. So She's like, I don't want to, and I don't want to disappoint you, but I don't. And I'm like, it's okay. So Sarah stepped up to bat, and she tried.
Let me just say, I don't sing well. I can sing, but I don't have that touch. So the fact that he got me to do this is kind of huge, that I agreed to do it, because not only did I have to sing, but like it was being recorded for potentially other people to hear in the world.
Right. But it was supposed to sound like a little kid.
And I tried, but I'm 33 years old.
I know, but it was worth a shot. So then I decided to G-rate the words just a little so that Nevi would agree to do it, and she did it, and she had lots of fun, and I had a lot of fun doing it with her, and she got real into it. Like,
once it wasn't cursing.
Like, make your voice sound different on each one.
She did really well.
And I was like, on some of them, sound like you got to be the kid that just doesn't care, and this one's the kid who sings loud and proud, and it was really sweet.
Because she can sing.
If you guys want to hear that song, you'll have to tune in to the Two Dudes Drinking podcast. Sometime in December. We're not sure. I couldn't tell you which week that song's going to end up on, but maybe it will be released on some sort of digital format at some point. We don't know.
Perhaps.
By the way, I'm going to have to use $25 to release some songs on a digital format. Just an FYI.
Make Sean pay for it. We already pay the monthly
but he pays
pod.
me.
I don't see any of that.
And it usually buys beer.
Nice.
Or it buys treats through the week. I should put it in a little pot.
Mm-hmm. And you could turn it around and use it for this stuff.
I know.
So.
No, he's paying half. I mean, but still. That's neither here nor there.
Anyway.
Thought I'd let you know.
Well, that sounds lovely.
I feel like I got some good QT with Sydney this weekend. She's starting to hit that point that I love with kids where they like to wrestle. Mm-hmm. And she will run full speed at you and just jump in your arms. And if you're not ready for it, it hurts quite a bit.
It does.
Her little bony self gets all up in there.
Our niece is 7, and
oh, you can tell she was like, make it stop.
she's like, her elbows are so pointy. She kept saying that. I was like, I'm sorry, honey.
It's so cute. She goes, well, I have pointy elbows too.
Yeah.
And I was like, I think she thought, like, am I insulting her?
Yeah, she was so sweet.
Sydney would go, Lily, and just run at her.
No, she didn't say Lily. She went, Willie.
I know. I didn't want to say Willie.
I think it's cute.
And so that was fun. I gotta admit, Thanksgiving with my family was much more entertaining than I thought it would be. It's just because after a few family things with Sydney, if anybody has small children, you know that
you do, and you compare to the year before, and they were a whole year younger a year ago, and it was a lot more stressful because Sydney wasn't even walking last year at Christmas.
Right.
She was still like crawling and knee walking and nothing else. So it was a lot more work for Luke and I. Today was
and even back almost to the summertime, even when she was walking, that was outside, so it was like everywhere.
Well, and she was less stable, you know, because she was a late walker.
Yeah, and like, oh, what do I want to do? I want to go walk on rocks and steps, and I'm like.
But yeah, she had a really good time today. She interacted really well with everyone.
I enjoyed myself. I'm still exhausted from this weekend, but and on the way home, I promptly bought a bottle of wine and a 6-pack of beer for Sarah and I to enjoy today, and just go.
And here we are.
It's over. It's over.
Yeah. So that kind of segues into what we're going to talk about.
Yeah.
Pretty well, actually. We wanted to discuss.
Butts.
I mean, there's a whole like expectations versus reality when it comes to the holiday season, whether you have kids or not. There's this like horrible thing with social media that you see people like doing all these fun things and putting up their decorations and going to pick out a tree. Rule number 3
of social media: none of it's real.
Well, right? No. I know that. We know that, but a lot of people like. Even if you know that, it's your subconscious is very smart.
It's like, look at these pictures from our tree cutting. You caught the one where everyone was smiling.
Well, right, but like people don't always think like that. We do, and maybe some other people do, but we're talking about generalizations here. A lot of people are just like, well, I want to go do that. That'd be really fun. Why, when I take my kids to get a Christmas tree, but they don't act like that. You know, there's a lot of putting up a front.
Yeah. Well, social media to me is like, it's like you're your own publicist, and you have to make this awesome image for yourself. But in true life, like, all of our lives are hectic, and maybe let's stop sugarcoating it so much.
Right. And also, I think a lot of people forget, and more people than not, I think, struggle through the holidays.
Yeah. I do.
The expectations, and
I wish we could just like have the days off of work and skip a lot of it. Mm-hmm. And a lot of that, and it's a lot of people, I will say this, like, with my opinions on the holidays, some people are like, oh my God, you're an asshole. But I'm like, no, I'm a realist. Like, the whole thing about, like, on social media, like, I know that you're all faking it.
Right.
Like, but...
Well, I mean, I don't think everyone's faking it.
But, like, the fact that, like... I should say, the fact that I understand what's behind the curtain.
Right.
Most people are just like, oh, God, you're such a downer. And I'm just like, well, it's not like I go around announcing it to everyone. But I'm just saying, like, once you understand that fact, like, you get a little better about your own life. Like, being like, oh, my God, why is everything so hectic? And then you're like, everyone else's life is hectic. Some people just cover it up on Facebook.
But what I'm getting at here is there's a lot of people that have, you know, some baggage with their family, and then the holiday forces you to see the family and remind you of the baggage. And or maybe you don't really agree with the opinions of your extended family these days, since a certain Cheeto has been elected president of our country.
And some members of family know to just like, hey, it's the holidays, let's not talk about it.
Well, I mean, some families don't talk about it ever, which I'll admit on this podcast. I don't talk about politics with my parents anymore. And I think it's pretty clear they know where I stand on things, and it's pretty clear that I know where they do. And we just don't go there. And part of me makes me really, I have a lot of really uncomfortable feelings about the fact that we don't talk about it, because I get really offended. Like, how did you help make me the person I am? And how can you have such differing views on so many things?
I can answer this.
Well, I don't want you to answer. I'm being rhetorical here.
No. I'm saying it's all about tribalism and, like, my team won.
But
and
let's
it's
not get
attached to identity.
We'll
get there one day.
Yeah.
Oh, we don't that's a good one. Politics at family events.
It's just, that's a big, I think that's a huge issue a lot of people deal with right now.
Yeah, and I should put in there that I'm very grateful that my parents, which is funny, when I was a kid, I said the team that I was on, but I actually felt the other way. And it wasn't until college that I realized, like, oh, I've been supporting people who are completely the opposite of what I actually support. You know, does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Like, everyone told you, like, no, you support these guys because they're who we support. That's your team. But I was fortunate that my parents kind of swung back to more in line with what I feel in my adult life. And that's been kind of fortunate. However, they really do like to talk about it sometimes. And even when people talk politics that you agree with, sometimes it's like, okay, can we talk about, like, football or, like, what the kids are doing in school? Maybe just, like, make your bullet points and move on.
That's just because your parents are retired and they only talk to each other most of the week.
Yes, it's true.
They're
I'm
excited.
saying, but for anybody, like, it's either going to get heated or boring or whatever.
Right.
It's just not good.
But
it's not, and, like, even if you agree, like, there's always that point you're like, man, doesn't this piss you off? Yeah, it pisses me off. Like, what? Why?
Right.
So
it's
maybe we
pointless.
Talk about happy things.
Right.
Like Ohio State defeating Michigan.
Well, I mean,
13th time in the last 14 years or something like that. So
go Bucks.
That's good.
I wore my T-shirt. Well, it's actually your T-shirt.
I did not.
Whatever.
My jersey is very warm.
You wore your Reds hoodie, so there you go.
I wore my red hooded
let's
sweatshirt.
Try and steer the ship back.
Sorry.
So, not just politics aside here, we sometimes forget that, like, there's people who've lost people around the holidays. There's people who are estranged from family members at the holidays.
I lost people around the holidays.
Yeah.
And I thought about it recently. Like, man, that kind of sucks.
So did I.
Yeah, like...
My friend Laura. It was a year ago, like this week.
Yeah, because, I lost my friend Earl on Christmas Day 2 years ago. Mm-hmm. And then the year after that, another loss happened. And it's like, man.
Thanksgiving. And it doesn't make it any harder or easier or whatever.
Mm-hmm. But it's just
when it's on a holiday, but
right.
It's
so much easier to remember something when it happened on Christmas or Thanksgiving. You know what I mean? It amplifies it to me.
It does, because you remember so many memories from your whole life around those times, yes. I think. So it really makes...
It's like a little memory toaster.
Right. And for some people, that's great and happy and awesome. But for a lot of folks, it's harder. So just try and keep that in mind. If you go to a family gathering and maybe like your third cousin's there and they're kind of like... They seem kind of bummed. Maybe don't be like, God, it's Christmas. Cheer up. Don't be a Grinch. Like, don't give them shit like that. Like, no one wants to hear that when they're already bummed out, first off. Like, ooh, tale from my childhood. I was a really emotional child, and I was depressed, like, for years of my childhood. I've come to decide as an adult, looking back. And something that never helped was when, like, my friends would make fun of me for it. Oh, you're negative Nancy. Oh, you bitch all the time. Oh, my God, sour Sara. Like, constantly. And it doesn't fix it. Like, it just makes the person who feels already really shitty and shitty about themselves worse. So don't do that.
And also, like, you're telling us stuff we already know.
That too. Like, it's no fun to be around someone like that. But
here's the opposite
don't be an
side
asshole
of that.
on Christmas.
Here's the opposite trademark. Here's the opposite side of that. When you have bad shit happen to you, and there's reasons you should be depressed, but you try to put on that smiling face,
right.
People will judge you and say, how are you in such a good mood? When that's happening, you're like, you can't fucking win.
Which, I mean, both people who do either of those extremes, like people who are giving you shit for being sad or giving you shit for trying to be happy when they think you should be sad, both of those types of people to me are shitty people to begin with.
They're the same person.
So you should just stop being related to them.
Right. And also remember, a lot of those people saying that shit to you are saying it because they themselves feel shitty and they're trying to make you feel worse.
Exactly.
The thing about like, oh, you must be in a good mood or whatever. That's something I deal with where people said like, I'm an asshole, or like, oh, how can you be so cynical about this thing? It's serious. And you're like, because what the hell else am I going to do? Sit here and be sad about it? Or can I just like try to be happy?
Right.
And then I make jokes about it and people are like, that's not cool. And I'm
right.
Like, it's how I cope.
Right.
Anyway, so just don't be a dick.
Yeah, be nice. Just be kind. Like, that's something I'm trying to just apply across the board in life going forward, but especially this time of year.
What I've learned from Sesame Street.
Did you see a kind moment today?
They have kind moments.
The parents out there understand and hear us.
Yeah. They've been bringing their A game lately, though.
I mean, they had a new season start with a Thanksgiving episode.
New segment where Cookie Monster and this new fluffy whatever the hell
doesn't
puppet.
Speak English, though. It just goes...
No, it speaks English.
Does it say words?
Yes, it's just garbled.
Oh, Jesus. Just what we need are trying to learn to speak fluently.
No, she... Remember when for like a hot minute she talked like Cookie Monster? It was for like a week where she said like me want cookie or something like that, and I was just like, oh no, how do we deprogram this? But we're good now.
She stopped.
It just happened because we forget that kids are designed to
be sponges.
I shouldn't say designed. They're pre-programmed.
But something else to remember that makes me think of kids. So here's something to keep in mind with young children. They don't know what the fuck's going on at Christmas until they're like, what do you think? Like, I mean, they start to get it at like 4.
What do you mean? Like buying presents and all that shit?
Well, just like, they don't understand holidays really until they're like 5 or 6. Like, they understand how I get stuff, but like the change in like different foods and their routine gets all fucked up.
Oh, yeah.
Like, they don't care that it's Christmas. You can't take away their nap so they can go see Santa and expect them to enjoy that experience.
Oh, yeah.
Stuff like that. Like, keep that in mind.
Wake up. We have to go shopping.
And like today, for example, we decided to go separately, Luke with Nevi, earlier to the family Thanksgiving we had today. And then, because Sydney, she had a weird night's sleep last night. She was awake. She was napping like super hard. So I waited till she started to like wake up. I noticed on the monitor she was moving around. I was like, oh, this is when I'll go in. I'll start the process.
40 minutes later.
Oh my God. So I opened the door and I tried to let her wake up, but then I must have not given her quite enough like laying there trying to wake up time.
Yeah.
Because her eyes were open, but then she peed on me when I was trying to change her diaper. And then we had to like snuggle afterwards. She was all kinds of messed up.
I am absolutely in no way, shape, or form a morning person. There's studies that show that some people are like physiologically cannot shift their internal schedule. I believe I've passed that on to Sydney.
Some mornings she's fine, though. It's all about if you wake her up too soon and she doesn't have the time to, like, be awake again. And I think because she didn't sleep well the night before.
She's so funny. She'll go,
she was not happy. I had to, like, stand her down completely naked because, like, she peed a little bit on the mat. So I had to, like, clean it up and get her pajamas off of her. And then she, like, wandered out into the kitchen. I'm like, you have no clothes on. Just standing there. Like, she was so confused. She was touching the wall, like, I don't know what to do. And I put clothes on her. And we snuggled for a minute. And I told her she got to go see Pap Hall soon. So she perked up. But my point here is she doesn't care that today's Thanksgiving with the family. She needed to take a nap, so we hung out and we were late, and she had a great time because of that. You know, like, yeah, her nap got cut short, and she was crabby at me, and I was as I was changing her diaper, I'm like,
but you still got somewhat of a nap.
This isn't any fun at all for me. Like, this is work and covered in pee now, so more work. But she was better for the nap, and that even goes for adults, like. Things get hectic, your routine gets messed with, and yeah, it's good you're off work, but you also have 20 million errands to run for the events and the food and the gift giving. Can we talk about that for a minute?
Okay.
It's just out of control. Everyone wants to buy everyone presents, and I'm like, no, can we just not?
I don't understand.
Like, extended family, mostly, which I forgot, and I never even get to talk to my family about it because my family are all insane, and it's just like food. Okay, everyone leaves now. Bye. Happy Thanksgiving. And that's Malampy Thanksgiving.
By the way, when Sara was lubba, she was making texting hand signals. I think she's referring to like messaging and such.
No,
right?
I'm talking about like when we're having Thanksgiving. It's just like no one sits down and then we finally eat and all we do is talk about the food. And then we never even talk about like the plan for Christmas because I'm like, can we just do a gift exchange? Because my family is small, so everyone feels the need to buy everyone else a present still. And I don't want to do that this year. Like, we don't have the money. We never have the money, but I still feel obligated to do it. And that just adds stress.
Because everyone else does it.
Right. And I mean... And they've even been like, Sara, it's fine. You don't have to. I'm like, yes, I do. Like, that looks so shitty on me that you're giving us gifts.
Well, and it's human nature.
Yeah.
That a year from now, you'll be like, just something can happen. I'm not saying your family, but just people in general. Mm-hmm. Like, there's always going to be that backhanded, like, passive-aggressive, well, you didn't give me a present last year. Or something like that.
Right.
It'll happen.
Or it's just in their mind.
Or somebody says it jokingly. Like, they might not even mean anything. But to us, we're just like... Hey, thanks for reminding us that, like, we have money trouble.
Right.
That kind of shit.
So it's just another added stressor that it's like, can we just chill?
This goes back to, don't be a dick.
Well, it's not even, they're not trying to be a dick. They just like to buy people things. And that's great. Like, more power to you. And I like to buy people things, too. Don't get me wrong. I do enjoy giving gifts. However, like, there's children, and the children come first in my mind. They're the ones that get the priority in our family. And then it's myself and you.
Get all the good presents.
Well, we are instilling the 4-gift rule this year in our house. Do you want to tell the listeners what the 4-gift rule is?
Now, I will say, like, I am not 100%. Like, I don't love it because I like getting presents and I like when the kids have a big pile of presents. It's just fun.
It is, but it's stuff that is never used.
Money's tight.
And that, too.
But you get 4 gifts plus stocking stuffers.
Right.
But like something you want, something you need, something you wear, something you read. Which it is limiting, but still it's better than nothing.
The stuff doesn't get used. That's my biggest complaint about when we just like go buck wild and buy a big pile of gifts. it just sits there and it's pointless, and it's nice, and it's like, it's exciting the day of, but like, it's not gratifying the rest of the year. It's not going to change our lives if we get twice as many presents.
I think not that I'm trying to convince you otherwise, because I know it's pretty much decided, is like, it does take a little bit of the like surprise out of Christmas.
But that's why we're giving each other lots of options.
Yeah, but
Which
there's probably going to be that option that you're like, okay, but this is the one they really want. The rest of them are the ones that were like, well, if you don't love me this much, the rest of these are okay, I
Well,
guess.
it sounds like we need to debate this more off podcast, because I thought you were cool with this and you're not, which is okay. You're allowed to have a different opinion.
No,
I just didn't know
I'm
you
cool
were.
with it. I just don't. I like having a lot of presents more. But I know that they cost money, and it's money we don't have. Podcast canceled. We got to save money for Christmas presents.
$14 a month.
Yeah, I know. We still need to. We've been talking about buying you a microphone for like.
I know, right?
What?
There's my
six
need,
months now. So
even though I don't really need that. It's not really
that thing costs more than anything that's going to be on my list. So, well, except for one thing that I know I won't get, but I'm going to pester you.
He's wearing me down, folks.
Black Friday deal bundle. I didn't even tell you about.
We already have a PlayStation 4. I do not understand why you feel the need to buy a bundle. It just doesn't make sense to me.
No, that's not what the bundle means.
Oh, I always thought it meant it came with another PlayStation 4, and you were like, we can just sell it.
No, it means that it's bundled with like all the peripherals and a game or two.
But don't you have the controllers?
I have one of the controllers. Some of the standard things, we can talk about this off air.
Okay.
We're talking about the PlayStation VR, which I've wanted for like months now, and it's really expensive, so we understandably can't get it. But now I've come to find out that Sarah thought that the bundle meant something completely different.
I did.
So we should go get it.
No.
Anyway, it had a Black Friday deal with $100 off. And I was like...
So how much... Let's just share with the listeners real quick. How much would that make the total cost?
A year ago...
No, right now.
$300.
Okay. So
it's a lot. I know it's a lot.
Anyway.
I like tech.
And that's okay.
Too bad I didn't like knitting.
Right.
Like, oh man, you know what I really love? When you knit me hats. Man, that's just the best.
I have joked around about taking up cross stitch.
No, but I'm saying it would be like so cheap. You have to buy like one of them big turds of yarn and like that's that.
I would totally make you a shit brown hat too.
No, they look like big poops.
Turd. I know. I get the brown one. Really drive the point home.
I don't know, brown
Put
doesn't
some buttons in it to make it look like corn. Anyway, we got way off topic.
Why don't you grow up with your jokes?
My foot is sweating profusely.
That's weird.
It is.
Anyway, I forget what we were talking about.
Christmas.
Are we still talking about Christmas?
Don't be a dick.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of other stuff. Not so much like surviving Christmas, because we will do a surviving Christmas episode.
I feel like it'll be better than last year. It's already been... Thanksgiving was way easier than last year from my memory. I don't really remember the Thanksgiving.
It's still, for me, like, I have problems with anxiety, and everybody knows that I have, like, safety troubles. When, like, nobody will sit down, and then you have a toddler that loves to just run from one corner of the room to the next, it's like, okay, I'm going to have a heart attack. But then you get the one where, like, shockingly, everyone's sitting down, and you're like, this is okay. Or when everyone is sitting down.
Yeah.
You're like, we're all right. And it's still, like, there's always, like, the corner of a table or something, and I'm like, oh, my God. And every time she gets near it, I'm like, oh, jeez.
We just need to get you some Xanax.
I don't want to drug.
Not for every day, just for the holidays.
That should be their next commercial. Xanax. It's not for every day. Just the holidays.
Oh, man. I have something in my eye. Ow.
Do you want me to pause it so you can get it out of there?
Okay.
Do you want to give everyone any top 10 tips on getting shit out of your eye?
Number 10. Don't wear contact lenses. Get LASIK if you can.
Do you still have your contact lenses in?
Motherfucker. Yeah. It's okay. It's really dry. I need to take them out. So yeah, just remember that not everyone's life is perfect. Especially people who think their lives are perfect. Don't act like you're an idiot and that there's no one in the world with problems at the holidays. Don't expect things from those people because people got problems. They don't go away just because it's Christmas. You can try and pretend things are better, and that works sometimes, but not always. Just take it one day at a time. Take it one chaos-filled family function at a time.
Are we about to wrap up?
I don't know. Do you have anything else to say? I need help.
Not really with that attitude.
Well, I'm just saying.
Oh, I was going to talk a little bit about a political issue that should be talked about. And
oh, sure. Yes. For sure.
So I want to end the podcast by imploring you all to call, email, whatever, fax your local congressmen and senators. And when I say so local, I mean probably like, I don't think your state senator is going to be able to do shit about it, but like...
I have some websites to plug for
we're going to give you some websites, but what I'm talking about is net neutrality. Net neutrality is basically regulations put in place to keep giant communications companies from screwing you. Things that they would like to do to screw you, that net neutrality protects us, the consumer, is so... They can basically charge you more for using a competing product. So they can charge you more for using a more popular website. They want to even put your social media habits, or basically your web viewing habits, into tiered packages of things that you can pay for. So they want to charge you a fee for social media. If you want to use it, you got to pay the fee. And this is on top of you already pay your broadband fee.
Right.
They want to be able to charge you even more to basically put a hog tie on the internet and like, how you use it.
For example, in New Zealand, because they don't have net neutrality, there's a social media package, and it's like $2 for one day, $5 for, or $10 for 5 days, or no. I can't remember what it was.
You're just making the point.
But I'm saying it's like this much for a day, this much for 5 days, this much for a month. But then it's not just that. And then the next thing is like media. So it's like Netflix and Hulu and like TV viewing. Those are even higher prices.
Yeah. And this is on top of the already whatever you pay for the web service. You already pay for it.
Right.
They're basically double dipping so they can control what you watch
and make more money.
Not they don't make enough as it is.
Right.
So imagine we all pay the same taxes to drive on the roads. So imagine that, sorry guys, if you drive a Chevy, you have to pay double. Sorry. Or how about what's a popular place people go? Kroger, Walmart, the grocery store, whatever. Sorry, that's a more popular destination. So if you're traveling there, we're going to double your gas to go there. So basically, you already pay for these services by paying your broadband bill. And they just want to, trying not to use bad language because it's serious, but they're just trying to nickel and dime you for everything you've got. And like we, the middle class, need to fight back. We, the educated, need to fight back. Especially
since the FCC chairman used to work for Verizon.
Yes. And
probably still owns stock in them.
Millions of people have come out against this. And it's overwhelmingly people want net neutrality rules in place. But the chairman of the FCC, basically the guy who he's a stooge for Verizon, is ignoring all of it and pushing this stuff through. So one more thing I want to add about how important this is I'm not talking about just fun stuff you do like, oh, I'm going to get charged more for my video games and my Facebook. No. They can actually throttle or completely block opinions and articles and websites that they, the provider, deem that you should or should not listen to. So, for instance, if... say you're for Planned Parenthood and your provider decides they are against it, they can throttle or block that website or make you pay through a paywall to view it. Things like that. So to me, it's a huge violation of free speech. It's a huge violation of free expression. At this point, once we pay for use of the internet, it should be a free and open space to use. So Sara is going to let you know some things you can do to help besides finding your representatives and senators. There's more stuff you can do.
Fast tracking that. So there's a website called act.freepress.net, and it is an option to submit I support net neutrality, where you don't have to call anyone. I know a lot of people get real weird about having to call. I actually submitted a form here earlier in the week. I also did call because I don't like calling people either. I get paid to call people on the phone, but I still get real weird about calling my senators for some reason. And it's a website called battleforthenet.com. And it is a letter. It had a call thing at one point. Oh, here it is. Contact them. So what it does is this. It's kind of interesting. You hit contact them. Oh, it's not. The calls must be. It's because the offices are closed for the holiday. So basically what it did, though, for me was this. It said, call your representative now. And you put in your zip code. So it sent you to that representative's office. But it rings back to your cell phone. Like you type in your phone number. And it says, this won't be used for anything but this call. And then what pops up on the screen is what you can say to them. If you get a little tongue-tied, don't know what to say, it says be polite as possible. And it basically just says, I support net neutrality. And they record your calls because they tally phone calls to report back to the representatives to say, look, these people who live in your districts, they don't want net neutrality to go away. So that second website was battleforthenet.com. There's a really good article from Mashable. If you are like, I don't even know what's going on, you can go to Mashable and search. Let me see what the title is here. It's loading. I got a new phone. It's pretty fast, but not fast enough, apparently. The U.S. government is using Thanksgiving to hide its plans to destroy net neutrality.
Right.
And it talks all about it and basically how they're pushing this through right before the holiday because they're not even covering it on the news because the news cycle before any major American holiday.
And they're owned by the telecom company.
Well, that too. So. But it's also, it's like, what's the word? Acceptable for right before holidays. They don't cover any bad news. They don't cover politics. Right. They cover fluff pieces about the parade.
This is not fluff. This is serious. And it's to me, it's the ongoing thing of watching, we have a finite amount of money.
Right.
And, Sara works from home. We have to have the internet. Right. What happens to us when they say, oh, you get a work from home fee? Or
exactly.
Oh,
I don't think my company is going to pay for me to have Facebook access, and I use Facebook for my job.
Exactly. So, there's stuff like that, and it's just so greedy and evil.
It's scary because what's happening is people without the means, smart people and not so smart people alike, they're not going to have access to information the way that the people with means do.
Right.
And that's just not okay.
And we're watching our middle class kind of dissolve because things like this, where a lot of us are becoming those people who don't have means to do these everyday things. And the people who do have it, guess what? They're not protecting you. That money is never going to trickle down to you. You have to stand up and protect yourself and your freedoms because you pay the same damn taxes they do. So they can go fuck themselves.
Happy Thanksgiving!